Okay, I am live here from Park City, Utah. One of our customers, Growth Elevated, is putting on a CEO summit, 100 founders all coming together, talk shop, and to ski together. And so it's very fitting that I bring up the question of the day, which is why do 90% of founders quit too early? And I'm actually going to take it in a bunch of order of operations, but there's a fantastic thing by Robert Herjavec, and that is you will completely overestimate what you can do in a year, and you will completely underestimate what you can do in 10. And it is truly a game of patience. And so that's where the first challenge arises. First challenge of entrepreneurship is number one, I'll call it misalignment of expectations. Best advice I can give any founder who is about to start a journey: double the amount of money that you've saved for the venture because it will take twice as much and twice as long. When I started the very first months of consulting in 2010, my business partner at the time, Paul St. Ange, and we didn't save properly. I had no idea the austerity measures that we would be going through for the next few years. I left a multiple six-figure VP sales job to start a consulting company. It took me until 4 years, 4 years to maybe even come close to my revenue stream from 2010. So 2010 to 2013 or 14 is when I matched it. Then I started to surpass it, but I had amassed a mountain of debt because I didn't plan properly, didn't save properly, had a lifestyle that couldn't afford the austerity measures that I was looking for. Where I see a lot of founders quit is they'll give themselves months of runway, maybe even a year. They die on the vine. They just can't afford it. There's too much pressure at home. There's too much pressure from whatever external forces. Doesn't work. So now the next one is during the act. And during the act is the valley of death. Years, especially year 5. There's actually this kind of like famous, and I'd love to be able to find the study. Year 5 is where a vast majority of founders, if they can even make it there, something like 95% of businesses don't even make it 5 years. But there's something about that half decade where founders recognize that number one, a lot of them have bought themselves a job. They're in a position where this was worse from their mindset than their corporate reality from before. And the valley of death, years 3, 4, 5, where they're slugging it out. They haven't scaled. They're working too much in the business, not on the business. And they can't survive the reality of doing like 9 people's jobs at the same time because they haven't built the systems in place to be able to scale it. So they've caught themselves working twice as hard for half the pay. And this is actually one of the best entrepreneurship quotes I've ever heard. Best entrepreneurship quote was during my master's degree. One of the professors said, I want you to picture that you wake up on your 65th birthday and you look backwards on your life and you realize you made 50% of the income that you could have working at a great corporate opportunity, and you were totally happy with your decision, then you're ready for entrepreneurship. Because statistically, you're going to work twice as many hours for half the pay over a lifetime. But what you're not only working for income, what you're really doing is you are building yourself a legacy. You're accomplishing things you never thought you could before. You're doing all kinds. It's not about the money. So, anyways, so that's number two. Number two is in the valley of death. People question, why am I slugging it out? Why am I a prisoner in my own business? Why am I working twice as hard for half the pay? And then finally, why do most founders quit? It's the first sign of an exit door, the first set of fires, they leave. That might be they leave and they see an acquihire opportunity. A partner wants to buy them out. They just see an opportunity to quit and go back to the corporate world, and they never become founders again. Over the years, I spoke on stage, I don't know, 30, 40 conferences a year, and I would meet all kinds of sales consultants, sales trainers, software vendors who have created sales and marketing tools. And I can't tell you how many of them never entered entrepreneurship ever again. It was like they had been beaten down by, you know, the brutality of entrepreneurship, and they couldn't build the resilience to be able to, uh, you know, dead cat bounce back, continue, start another thing, find that passion again. They never make it. So those are the three reasons. And so, how do you remedy these? Number one, if I were to start another business again, I would save 1 to 2 years, probably 2 years worth of, like, it's kind of like it's called SDE, seller discretionary earnings. I would have that in a bank account ready to go, because even though the business plan has probably called for profitability in year one and they're drawing income and dividends, it's not going to happen. You will miss that mark. It will take twice as long and it will cost twice as much. So, how do I prepare? I prepare by building a nest egg in advance of launch. That nest egg can come from a variety of different ways. I'm not even going to, bother entering all the different ways you could do this, but I would be prepared so there's not misalignment at the first sign of trouble. Number two, I would find an opportunity that, even though you're going to be in the valley of death, that you are entering a market that you, and some could say, are so passionate about, is that, um, no matter what happens, it's like you're doing it for a cause. You're solving a problem that no matter what the pain, you would do anything to change the world. And I know that's hard to say, but this is where people built the 16th sales and marketing tool, or the 14th HR software, or the millionth company of X, Y, and Z, and they're not passionate about it. You'll never make it. And the last is, the reality is, you have to choose, and this kind of starts at the start, but then this is where the early exits come from. Is this a job? Like, are you becoming an accidental entrepreneur, or is this a vocation? You are going to spend the rest of your life serving the world in the best way you can, by creating, by inventing, by operating. And you have to choose if this is the vocation you want, the pain and the suffering of entrepreneurship, or if this is just a job. And that's probably what will lead to an early exit. So I hope that this was valuable insights. The three reasons that I'm seeing why 90% of founders, doing the 16 years, easily 90% of all the founders I've ever met still don't exist, or do not exist as founders anymore. Hope all is well.